Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Friday. The weekend is very nearly here. I hope you're having a good one wherever you're watching or listening to this round the world. Thank you, as always, for joining me. And I'm sure you are having a good one because it's been a really good start to the weekend, to the Friday. Gabriel has signed a new contract, 4 years, 2029, taking him up to the age of 31. Fantastic news. Brilliant start to the summer. A huge summer renewals-wise for Arsenal, and this is an absolutely brilliant start. Well done, Andrea Berta, in getting this deal over the line. So, of course, we're going to talk about that in today's show. Why wouldn't we? Big Gabby stay in for at least another 4 years. Fantastic news for the Arsenal. Yes, but there are other bits and pieces we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Kepa. Arsenal looking at a potential deal for Kepa as the number 2 goalkeeper, £5 million release clause. I like that. I have to say, I like that much, much more than the Juan Garcia potential deal this summer, I have to say. So we're going to talk about that, talk about Jorginho, got questions and comments from you guys as well to get stuck into. But there is no other way to start, no other place to start than with the news that Gabriel has signed a new contract. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see a picture there of a very happy-looking Gabriel, a very happy-looking Mikel Arteta, and a very happy looking Andrea Berta. It's just massive news. It really, really is. Gabriel is a leader of this team, one of the leaders of this team. He's the leader of the defence, no doubt about that. We saw that when he was missing towards the end of the season. He makes William Saliba a better player. He's just an absolute powerhouse in both boxes, whether it's defending, whether it's attacking. You kind of look at where he was when he signed, this sort of young, talented defender, and you look where he is now, this absolute leader of one of the world's best clubs. And it's just huge for Arsenal to get this deal over the line. Again, as I said at the start, this is such a massive summer for Arsenal, renewals-wise. And something like this can just create that snowball effect, which I think could be such a positive for Arsenal, because we know Saliba, Saka, Miles, Lewis Skelly, Ethan Nwaneri, all those players are sort of locked in contract talks right now with Arsenal. And when you see someone like Gabriel sign straight away early, I think that can create a snowball effect, and that can be a massive, massive thing. And it's huge. It's really fair play to Andrea Berta as well, I have to say, coming in to this. You know, these talks have been going on a long time with Gabriel. They started last season, and they've been ongoing for a long, long time. And for Berta to come in around, what, March was it when he was appointed, he's taken a really firm grasp on these negotiations. And I have to say, the thing that really sort of worried me about Berta's appointment, given all these renewals were coming up, but he was coming in totally out from the cold. He didn't know these guys. He didn't have a relationship with them, with the agents, really, with the families, anything like that. Edu did, and Edu had a really good relationship with them, and so that you felt like those talks kind of be easy for the guy who's got that relationship. But Berta coming in from the cold, it could have really impacted those talks. I thought. So for him to come in and take a firm grasp, my understanding is he really has taken a firm grasp of these negotiations, especially with Gabriel. He wanted to get that sorted straight away. And he's done that, and he's really, really impressed. And not just in terms of this deal, but other talks that are going on at the moment, from my understanding, he's really, really impressing the people that he's talking to and how he's dealing with it and how sort of determined he is to get things done. And so that's a really positive start for him again in the summer, where for me, contract renewals are equally as important as new signings because of the players we're talking about. You know, new signings obviously absolutely essential. We've got to get it done. But you sign a load of good new players, but you potentially leave yourself open to losing Saliba, Saka, Gabriel, two of your brightest young talents in the same. That it undoes all the good work of new signings. So they're of equal importance to me. So to get him done early like this, I just think it's absolutely brilliant news for Arsenal. As you can tell, I'm made up for it. I know that you guys are all made up for it as well. I'm just going to go over what Gabriel has said upon signing his new contract. It's an amazing club, and I'm so proud to sign a new contract. I love this club. I love the fans, my teammates. I love this stadium. I'm so proud, and thank you for all the support. I arrived here as a young player, and now it's almost 5 years at this club. I'm so happy. I've learned a lot. I'm so proud of myself as well to have worn the captain's armband sometimes in this club. I think it's an amazing journey, and I'm so happy to continue this journey. I hope I win some trophies with this club because I love this club. My family loves it. We've done a lot of good things, and now it's time to win some trophies. I want to say thank you for everything. I love the fans. I love how they push the team. I think they are so incredible to keep pushing us every single game. We continue together for the future. He was asked also about his injury. And he says, I'm doing very well. It's been a bit difficult for me, but I know it's time to recharge. I feel much, much better now. And I'm so excited for next season. So just brilliant news. Perfect way to go into a Friday, it has to be said. Lewis Tibbs says, Big Gabby is extended. Let's put the arguments about transfers aside for a few hours and just celebrate keeping one of the best defenders in the world at the club. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%, Lewis. If you can't celebrate some news like this, then what can you celebrate? Because he's so important. You know, Saliba takes an awful lot of the headlines when it comes to the Arsenal defence. But, you know, you ask Saliba himself how important Gabriel is, and it's absolutely massive. He's my player of the season. I don't know if he'll get it or not. We'll have to wait and see. I think that probably the announcement of that will come today. But he's my player of the season, and I think he's so, so important. So it's just fantastic news. Charlie asked about the length of the deal. He says, can I ask, please, Saka and Saliba were both 4-year deals and Gabriel now 2. We do... why do we seem to do short deals like this rather than 5+ like the other clubs? Why is it? I'm just curious. Thanks. I can't give a definitive answer for it on this. I just think the agents are pretty clever when it comes to these sort of deals. When it's sort of Saliba and Saka, when they signed those 4-year deals, I think they were probably looking at it. Arsenal was a very young project at that point under Arteta, and they were like, well, if we want, do we want to extend long term, or do we want to give ourselves an option where in 2 years' time we can look at how things are? And I think that's what they did with Saliba and Saka. It gives them a lot of the power. I think for Arsenal point of view, they would have liked to have been longer, obviously. But if you're going into those talks and they're saying we only want 4 years, you're not going to say no. Yeah, if you can't get them to sign 5, you're going to get them to sign 4. I think with Gabriel, it's slightly different. I think this will take him up to when he's 31 years old. I imagine this will probably be his last contract at Arsenal. I think he'll go somewhere after this and try something new. And I think 4 years makes a little bit more sense on this because, you know, he's turned down big money. Saudi Arabia, he could have gone again this summer to Saudi Arabia. Last time he signed, last summer or the season before it, whatever it was, you know, he could have signed a new contract then. He could have gone to Saudi Arabia then. Didn't. You know, he's turned down huge amounts of money. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the case of like, well, we'll reward you, give you a 4-year deal, but, you know, maybe at some point during this contract, if another big offer comes in, you can go. So I think there's probably been a little bit of compromise with that as well. Again, it will take, if he stays, it takes him to 31. So yeah, I can't give you a definitive answer. I just imagine it's just in the talks. That's what they've come up with. But it's not. It's just, you know, most of them are 5-year contracts. Gabriel Martinelli was 5-year contracts when he signed. Other people have signed 5-year contracts when they've done it. But yeah, obviously with Saka and Saliba, it would have been much better if it was 5 years. But I don't think this one. I don't look at this one with Gabriel as more of an issue than I did with Saka and Saliba. Right, moving on. Let's talk about the internationals last night. We got that all kicked off in terms of an Arsenal point of view. Unbelievable game, Spain versus France. I didn't, unfortunately, watch it. I've watched the highlights since. We were chatting on the Inside Arsenal Discord server while the games were going on, and some of the people in that server. And if you sign up to become an Inside Arsenal member, the link is down there. On the Patreon link is down there. If you sign up, become a member, you get access to the Discord channel, and there's loads of great chat going on yesterday while the game was going on and after the game as well. And yeah, everyone was saying how amazing it was. I saw Merino's goal, brilliant goal from Merino. Zubimendi played very well by all accounts. Started that move, lovely sort of quick ball from deep line, splitting pass from the base of midfield through to Merino. Lovely little touch, give and go, and sort of great run, right-footed finish into the bottom corner. Really good goal for him. 5-4. France mounted a hell of a comeback. Didn't quite get it done, but lovely goal from Merino. Really liked his movement. I thought Zubimendi's pass as well. When I saw that, I just thought, oh, hello. That's kind of what you want to see. Gabriel Martinelli played last night as well for Brazil. Came on in the second half against Ecuador as 0-0 in that game, but everyone seems to be unscathed so far. Obviously got others coming up over the next 48 hours or so, including the England boys, who are tomorrow, I think, the 3 England boys. So the international's now firmly underway, and Mikel Merino getting them off to a very good start from his point of view, obviously. And we're sort of sticking on Spain right now. We'll talk about Kepa, who has emerged now as a realistic Arsenal target, actually, for this summer. And I really like this deal. 5 million release clause. I don't quite understand that. Considering he's signed for £72 million for Chelsea, I'm not quite sure how he's got a £5 million release clause, but apparently he has got a £5 million release clause, and Arsenal are very aware of that release clause, and have been sort of discussions about it. Now, obviously, we don't know if this deal's going to happen yet or not. And for Kepa, again, kind of similar to Juan Garcia, but a different sort of age range. He would be coming in knowing he's going to be number 2. Would he want to do that, having played, very, very well for Bournemouth last season while on loan? Would he want to be a number 2 at the club? I would suggest with Kepa, if Arsenal were to sign him, they'd be very, very confident to play him in all the cup games. So he would get games at Arsenal. There's no doubt about that. But I just like this deal so much more. Just spending £5 million on a decent reserve goalkeeper, and Kepa has shown he's a decent keeper. Obviously, when he first went to Chelsea, he struggled a little bit, but he showed at Bournemouth last season he's more than capable of playing at Premier League level, and that's kind of what you want for a number 2, in my view. Anyway, I wouldn't have massive fears if Kepa had to come in for a few games next season if that deal got over the line. I just think that's much more value for money for a second choice goalkeeper than going to signing Juan Garcia and for 25 million. It's not like Kepa's old or anything. I think it's a very good age range. He's probably not even at his peak of his powers yet. And really, when you think of a goalkeeper's age, I just think it's a lot more sensible. Again, this is still very, very early stages. We don't know if this is actually going to get done or not, but I would suggest this is a much smarter piece of business for a second choice goalkeeper than going out and signing Juan Garcia. A few of you got in touch and asking about this. Aaron's got in touch and says, "Hey Charles, on the Kepa links, I think this can be a great piece of business. He's Premier League proven, has a very cheap release clause. I don't know whether he will accept the second goalie position, but he does fit the profile of goalkeeper Mikel wants. Some of the most sensible links in recent years, I think. Also, Kepa will bring some experience to the team, so it is more like a Jorginho type sign-in." Jaswanth has got in touch as well. It says, "Hey Charles, what are your thoughts on the Kepa interest? I feel that's the best deal for a competitive goalkeeper in the market for 5 million. Surely he's a very talented goalkeeper, but was too overhyped, but could be an excellent piece of business for us and can play Premier League games and cup games, so we don't need to panic about Raya getting injured. Also, can you give some small clarity on how on earth United and Chelsea are above us in the PSR reports tables that were published by The Athletic yesterday?" Simple answer to that is very sly. How do I put this? Accounting, shall we say? I mean, Chelsea, it's obvious. So they're selling their women's team for ridiculous amounts of money that the Premier League clubs have, for some reason, decided not to have an issue with. And that's how they've survived PSR. They survived it before by selling the hotel to themselves. Now they've sold their women's team to themselves, another company that they've created for themselves for clearly vastly overinflated value. The UEFA aren't falling for it. They're not letting that go through by all accounts. So although Chelsea have sort of seemed to have sneaked through the Premier League PSR wise, I think they're going to have a lot more trouble meeting UEFA's criteria when it comes to financial regulation. I think Manchester United is the same. Again, it's more sort of creative counting and how they're doing it. I think it's to do with 2 different companies that they kind of run by, and it's all just so murky. It really, really is. So in terms of small clarity, I'm not an accountant, so I can't say for certain, but I can't explain perfectly how it is, but it's as simple as that, really. It is just very, if you want to call it creative counting, I'm sure other people will want to call it something else, and I think those other people are probably more correct in terms of how they're labeling it than I am when I call it creative accounting, but I've got to legally think about what I'm saying. So yes, both of you, in terms of the Merino, sorry, not Merino, in terms of Kepa, I think you're spot on. I think you're feeling exactly like I am on that. I think it's a very sensible potential piece of business if it does get done. Jorginho, as you can see, has headed out to Rio to complete his move ahead of the Club World Cup. His wife there on Instagram showing the picture of themselves at the airport yesterday ahead of his move to Corinthians. Good luck to him. Arsenal and him have come to an agreement to cut that contract short early so that he can play. And yeah, good luck to him. I've said my piece on Jorginho. I think he's been a really, really smart. Talking about Kepa, that was a smart piece. Jorginho is a very similar sort of smart piece of business. If Kepa gets done, I think he's worked really well for Arsenal. I think he's been excellent on the pitch, but off the pitch, just a really good piece of business. And I'm sure pretty much every single Arsenal fan will be wishing him the best of luck in his spell in Brazil. Right, a couple of questions now before we wrap this one up. NSW more commonly known as the High Wattage Man on the regular YouTube channel. He's got in touch on my on the Discord, as he's a member of Inside Arsenal Patreon. He said, "Hello, Charles. I watched the PSG, Madrid, and Liverpool teams and put them man for man against ours. I feel we are currently some way behind when it comes to player quality and squad size. Is it crazy to think that some fans are being entitled and unrealistic to demand a Champions League or Premier League next season?" Is it crazy? I don't know if it's crazy because it's football and you want to sort of demand the best from your team. I think, I would never, ever go into a season thinking you have to win the league or the Champions League, because I just don't think you can do that. I think there's too many good teams around. There's too many uncertainties, injuries, all that sort of stuff, as we saw last season, to think you absolutely have to win it. I think Arsenal need to win it. I want them to win it, but I can't go into any season. This is just me, personal view. Can't go into any season thinking we absolutely have to win it or it's a complete failure. Because I just don't think the Premier League's too strong. There's too many good teams. There's too much money being thrown around by other teams to think you absolutely you have to demand something. I would never do that. I want to win it. I hope we win it. I think we need to win it, but I could never demand it because I just think that's totally unrealistic. So yeah, simple answer to that question. I have to say, and we've got here one from Nathan in Atlanta. It says, "Hi Charles, with teams making moves to sign quality players, some that might even interest us. I watched Shirky score fantastic goal for France yesterday, and I want to try and ask this question again. Are City ever going to get a ruling or punishment for all those charges brought against them?" Again, it's a relatively simple answer on this one, Nathan. I just don't know. I know there will be a ruling. Whether there'll be a punishment, I don't know. No one does at this stage, so I can't give a definitive answer to it. It's dragging on. City have now spent, they spent what, £250 million in January. Probably going to spend more than that this summer. So you're talking about nearly £500 million spent in the last two transfer windows, all while this is hanging over their heads. It's ridiculous, to be honest, that it has been able to go on this long. It's not entirely surprising because this is what Manchester City wanted. They wanted to tie it all up in litigation. It's clear, and to drag it out as long as they possibly can. And they've succeeded in doing that, and they continue to succeed in doing that. It's not really the Premier League's fault. Now, the Premier League have done what they can. It's out of their hands now. It's down to whoever sort of sat down and listened to the whole process for them to make a decision. The Premier League want a ruling. They're pushing for a ruling. They've done all they can to try and get Manchester City charged because they think City have unfairly broken the rules. That's why they brought the charges against them. But until the ruling is dished out, then we just don't know. So yeah, the answer to your question, Nathan, is there will be a ruling. It will come, but I can't say right now when it will be, and I certainly can't say if there is going to be a punishment or not. I feel like just my general opinion on it is the longer this drags on, the less chance there is of a significant punishment coming towards Manchester City. But again, that's just purely opinion based on my part. And that's it from me today, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for listening. What is a really good Friday, a positive Friday. Gabriel signed his new deal. And so I think we can all go into the weekend feeling pretty good about ourselves. So that's it. I'll be back in the morning to do it all over again. We'll see what happens in the next 24 hours or so. Maybe we'll have plenty of good Arsenal news to discuss. Until then, speak to you soon, everyone. Enjoy the start to your weekends. Bye-bye.